UFC 316 wrapped up 3 days ago, and we need to talk about it because Merab is establishing himself as one of the main characters of the UFC. He just beat Sean O'Malley via Darce choke, or I think it was a ninja choke actually. It was like a very weird modification of the choke. But yeah, this guy is one of the main characters of the UFC. He is just dominating people, and I just don't see him losing for the foreseeable future. What he did to Umar, what he did to Sean, these are guys who don't get beaten like that, you know. With Umar, he doesn't get beaten at all. He was undefeated before the fight, and then Sean O'Malley, he had that fluke loss to Chito Vera, re-avenged it, lost to Merab the first time. You know, the excuses were flowing around like, he was injured, he couldn't perform to his best, the bright lights were too much, you know, he was in the sphere, whatever. In the rematch, Merab made a statement. He choked him out, and it didn't even look that close. Me personally, I chose Sean to win that fight. I've never picked Merab to win a fight, and it's actually really bad because he keeps on beating everyone. But I think from now on, there is no way I can doubt this guy. And I really think if he's gonna fight Corey Sandhagen, he's just gonna dominate him. I think the way you beat Merab isn't by being able to defend takedowns, because that's not the point. The way to beat Merab is to be offensive in every facet of the game. In the striking, you need to push him back. If you get pushed back and taken down, you need to threaten submissions. You need to be a savant everywhere. As well as that, you need to have amazing cardio. I just don't see how anyone beats him in a fight. The only person who can get close, in my opinion, is Umar. But even then, like, I'm looking at that fight and I just don't see how he wins. Umar doesn't have a bad gas tank. He actually had a very good one, but I think the longer the fight goes, I don't think anyone can take round 5 from Merab. I don't think anyone can take round 4 from Merab. I just think you need to win the first 3 rounds. And there's a certain point in a fight where Merab just flips a switch and he just locks in. It's like the, what's his name? It's like that Mofsar effect where he'll always lose the first round of a 3-round fight, but then always win the last 2. There was just no way to beat this guy if you're banking on going to a 5-round like war, because he will always come back in the 3rd round, 4th round, and the 5th round. And we need to talk about how he is a main character of the UFC. Previously, we've had guys like Conor, we've had Ronda Rousey, Khabib, Anderson Silva. We've had all these legends. In the modern day, we also had John Jones. In the modern day, we have Ilya, we have Alex Pereira, we have Islam Makhachev. We even have guys like Hamza, who isn't even a champ, and he has an insane following. Merab doesn't have the following of these guys, but the way this guy is winning, the way he yaps after a fight, I think there's no way anyone can deny he is one of the faces of the UFC right now. In my opinion, if Merab beats Corey Sandhagen before Islam fights JDM, and if Merab fights Corey Sandhagen and he beats him before Islam fights JDM, Merab is a pound for pound number 1 fighter. He is the pound for pound number 1 fighter, and he is like a top 5 greatest fighter of all time. I just think with Merab, the way he speaks after a fight is so funny, and I used to clown him for it, but now that I'm looking at it, he's like one of those guys where in 5 years' time, you know, Joe Rogan's going to be on his podcast talking about, this guy was a marauder, you know. People are going to be talking about Merab like, this guy came from nothing, everyone doubted him, but look at what he was able to achieve. Even the way he talks after a fight, you know, he's like screaming, I came from nothing, you know, everyone can do this, bro, everyone can do this. Just believe in yourself. You know, the way he talks, I think in 5 years' time, even though he's not that popular, when he's like inducted into the Hall of Fame, people are going to look at this guy and just say, this guy is a true inspiration. He's a true representation of what it means to be an MMA fighter. You know, the respect that he has for his opponents, the way he carries himself, I just don't see how people can say, there are people in comment sections talking about, because the pound for pound rankings changed recently. Merab is number 2 right now. I don't know how there are people who are saying John Jones is over him. Merab is creating a legacy that just can't be touched at the moment. He beats Corey Sandhagen, he can retire and he's like one of the greatest of all time. He beats Corey Sandhagen and then rematches either Umar or Peter Yan. I think this guy's a top 2 fighter of all time. If you take away everyone else in the conversation right now, like Islam, who can obviously advance his legacy as well. But I think this guy, and I don't even hate to say it because I'm actually a fan now, but this guy is just, he's unstoppable. He's unstoppable. Like, I even think if he really wanted to move to featherweight, I know he said he respects Volk too much and, this guy too strong, brother. He says all these things. I think he could beat Volk right now. I think he could beat Mofsa. I think the fight with Mofsa would be very similar to the Umar fight, but I just think Merab has a way of just winning fights. He has a way of just performing. He's able to perform in even the most dire situations. He's able to just come back, rally himself. And I don't see anyone beating him. I really think this guy can go undefeated for as long as he wants. And it really is just, this guy is like the second coming of Khabib. And I know a lot of people are going to flame me for that. People are going to say, oh, but Khabib was actually getting finishes in his title fights. Merab is evolving. He is 35 years old. I don't know if he's 35 actually. I think he's turning 35 this year. This guy is 35 years old and he's only getting better. He's like defying fucking like human physiognomy. I don't understand how he's doing this. I was like telling one of my friends, I'm going to pick Sean O'Malley to beat him this time. And then if he wins that, I'm probably going to pick against him the next fight because as time goes on, he's probably going to deteriorate. His ability to fight is probably going to, deteriorate as well. His cardio is probably going to be worse. But he's only looking better. He's looking even more explosive, even more athletic. The way he picked up Sean O'Malley in this fight was so insane to me. He's picking people up like it's a UFC 5 transition. He just like dives. He doesn't dive, but he like shoves himself into someone's hips. He clasps his hands in like the shortest amount of time and just lifts. I don't understand. It's like a UFC 5 transition. His fights look like a UFC 5 game or a UFC 4 game. I don't see how anyone's just going to beat this guy. How do you beat this guy? Obviously, I just said the way to beat him was to be offensive in every manner of the game, but you just can't. How do you do that against this guy? How do you do that in the 5th round? Sure, you can do that in the 1st round, in the 2nd round, but how are you going to do that when you're tired? Because you will eventually get tired. This guy bounces backwards and forth so much, where if you're strictly going in with an offensive mind, like, I don't know what Sean O'Malley's plan was. He was doing really weird jab, and then backhand to the body. I don't know what his plan was if you tried to push him back and tried not to get pushed back, but you can't move forward for the entirety of a 5-round fight. And Merab just has crazy cardio. He won't let that happen. And it's so insane to me because I'm sure there have been people who have supported Merab from the beginning. Obviously, people who know him personally, like Aljo, he's always been talking highly of him. His team, everyone around him. Obviously, the people that supported him, I'm sure he's like countrymen. But I don't think, after Merab beat Jose Aldo, then PTN, then I think it was Henry Cejudo, people were still talking about him like, oh, he's just a shit fighter. And this is still a narrative that was being told like before this fight, that he's not good anywhere, but he just manages to win fights. He just has crazy cardio. But I just think he is good, and he's good everywhere, actually. I think that's the thing that people don't understand. You can have great takedown defense, but can you stop someone who's relentless? I just don't. It was the same thing with Khabib. Like, I think, sure, Dustin Poirier's takedown defense has gotten way better since the Khabib fight. He was able to stuff a lot of Islam Makhachev's takedowns, but there's a certain type of fighter who's just relentless. And I think that's Merab, and I just think he won't lose. I don't see how he loses. And my main thing with Merab right now is, I really hope we can see this guy retire on top. When Islam Makhachev was fighting Charles Oliveira for the belt, I would tell my friend at the time who I was watching with, because I went to watch it at his place, I was like, I really want Islam to win. I know how great he is, because I've been a fan of Islam since. There's like a specific video on YouTube of him training, and he hit this like Russian Thai snap takedown. I don't know what it's actually called, but I've been a fan of him since then. And when he was fighting Oliveira for the belt, my friend was obviously supporting Oliveira, and I was just like, I really want to see Islam win, because I just know we're going to witness greatness. I just know we will. And we are. We are witnessing one of the greatest fights of all time, one of the greatest runs of all time. And I think we're seeing that with Merab as well. And so the only thing, I just hope we see this guy retire on top. We need to see guys retire on top nowadays. We don't see it often. I hope to see Ilya retire on top. I hope to see Islam retire on top. And I hope to see Merab retire on top. I just think these guys can reshape what it means to be an MMA fighter, what it means to have a great legacy. Because a lot of people have this misconception that you need X amount of title defenses, you need to be on top for this amount of time. But I just really think what Merab is doing is just... I just don't see how these things matter anymore. And I just think one more fight for Merab, he can retire and he'll solidify himself as like a top 5 fighter of all time for like the next 20 years. Yeah, and if he beats Yan or Umar in a rematch, I just... How do you argue that this guy isn't a top 3 fighter of all time? This guy has the opportunity to be greater than someone like Volk. Someone like Volk who we all like revere as this top 3 great. You know, he got his belt back. He's still looking great as a 35-year-old. You know, vintage Volk went out there against Diego Lopez. But Merab is doing what Volk was doing against much better competition, aside from the 3 Holloway fights. But he's doing it against much better competition. And he's just dominating these people. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, he's just not losing, and he won't lose. And I really hope he doesn't lose. We really are witnessing greatness with this guy, and I'm like, I want to hear what you guys think about this topic, because I just think we just can't deny Merab's position in the UFC right now, and as one of, if not the face of the UFC. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. This is my first video on the channel. Please let me know what you guys want to see next. But yeah, I appreciate all of you watching. I'll see you next time. OTL.